After a long, exhausting struggle with COVID-19, a man who fought the battle and won. The amazing story of his homecoming. And the story of an amazing 93-year-old who is still out playing tennis. He shares the secret of how he does it.
Live from WDHN, this is Wake Up Wiregrass.
Good morning. We're glad you could join us for Wake Up Wiregrass. I'm Allison O'Connor. It's Thursday, March 11th. Good morning. Now to a story you will only see on WDHN. We now know where Dothan City Schools will have the graduation ceremony for their 2020-2021 high school seniors. Last year, you'll recall the Dothan High graduating class held 6 separate graduation ceremonies at the Civic Center in order to keep families and students socially distanced. This year, school officials say they plan to go back to a traditional setting and have one combined graduation ceremony at the amphitheater at the Crossing, which seats close to 8,000 people. Definitely enough room to keep a healthy distance. School Superintendent Dr. Dennis Coe says his goal is to get all the seniors in one setting together for one last time.
Last official time you're together as a class, and those are lifetime friendships and bonds that you never forget, and you know, the bonds that you have with your classmates.
The next step is finding out how many tickets each graduate will be awarded for family and friends to attend the ceremony, tentatively set for Saturday, June 5th. We'll keep you posted when the date is finalized, but this decision certainly demonstrates progress on the pandemic front and confidence that numbers will keep going down. And indeed, the number of COVID-19 hospitalizations continue to decline. In 107 Alabama hospitals, there are now just 475 patients. Locally, Southeast Health reported 27 COVID patients on Wednesday, and Flowers Hospital continues to see a decrease with only 13 patients as of yesterday's report. Wednesday morning, the Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine broke ground on its latest project. A simulation center will enable medical students to have real hands-on experience before entering the professional medical arena. This center has been in the planning stages for a while now, but after dealing with the pandemic, it's finally moving ahead.
See this come to fruition and add just double our sim center will allow me to continue to give our students a simulation experience every week, which is just fantastic.
The building is scheduled to be completed by the fall. Moving over to Georgia now, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is expanding the availability of the coronavirus vaccine in the Peach State one way by reducing the age of eligibility. Here's Alabama Bureau Chief Archit Sashandri with more.
Glimmer of hope.
We have made significant progress without a statewide mask mandate. The people of Georgia did this without shutting down restaurants or bars or closing churches or houses of worship.
Governor Brian Kemp says starting March 15th, all Georgians over the age of 55 can get a vaccine dose, as well as those with high-risk medical conditions as defined by the CDC.
Adding these additional high-risk Georgians will mean that vaccination will be available to categories that have accounted for 92% of our deaths due to COVID-19 in Georgia.
State health leaders say that expanded list includes those with asthma, cancer, kidney disease, diabetes, hypertension, Alzheimer's.
The state's public health commissioner says you don't need to give your social security number or show your driver's license if you plan to get tested or to get a shot. If you qualify for the vaccine, you can find your nearest provider at dph.georgia.gov or register at myvaccinegeorgia.com for one of the 9 mass vaccination sites in the state. Has the increase in people staying at home during the pandemic led to an increase in local domestic violence cases? WDHN's Brantley Weatherford went to the Houston County Sheriff's Office to find out.
Since the start of the pandemic, many people wondered if there was going to be an increase in domestic violence. Well, here in Houston County, the sheriff says it's been much of the same.
The pandemic has made it difficult for many, especially with the lockdowns. Some question if these lockdowns have led to more domestic calls. According to Houston County Sheriff Donald Valenza, the Department of Justice wanted them to monitor domestic calls. From March 2019 to 2020, Houston County had 420 domestic calls. The sheriff says the pandemic has changed that number, but not by much.
Pandemic comes in 20, and from March 20 to today, 21, we've had 429, and out in the county they've had 127. So right now we're at 156. So we're actually down a little.
Domestic abuse was not the only thing they were worried about with people being stuck at home. They have been on the lookout for suicide calls as well.
Was a concern also.
After 5 months battling COVID-19 in the hospital, an Alabama man is back at home with his family. Reporter Byron Cahill has more on the warm welcome from the community.
Happy for him to be home.
Sarita Clements had no idea that when she and her husband Danny contracted COVID-19, he would spend the next 5 months fighting for his life.
He was in Princeton, stayed there for about probably 3 months, went to Anniston to a rehab, was on ECMO, dialysis, vent, trach, everything you can think of. Was stayed at Anniston just a little bit, back to Princeton because he went septic, stayed at Princeton.
69-year-old Danny Clements spent time at 2 other medical facilities before recovering. Doctors told the family a recovery like this doesn't happen often.
They say people, it just don't happen, you know. Rarely ever happens, you know, from what he has been through.
The Carbon Hill community had a special welcome home event prepared for Danny.
We feel honored as a town to be able to have a COVID patient to return back home.
Some holding signs with supportive messages.
Every day he's gotten better and better, but he's just...
Doctors told the family that Danny will have to participate in physical therapy before he fully returns to normal. With gas prices going higher and higher each week, some tips on how to save. Okay. Here's 5 top things you need to know this morning. The gas prices are still on the rise. The average price for regular unleaded gas in Alabama is $2.57. That's 8 cents higher than just a week ago. NerdWallet has listed 6 tips you can do to save a few pennies, such as using a gas app to find the cheapest gas in town. In addition, pay with cash and buying from a warehouse club. WDHN spoke with a Florida resident who traveled across the state line to save more than 20 cents a gallon.
The only thing that helps me here is with Walmart, I got an app that I can at least get 3 cents off, because in Florida it's nearly 15-20 cents higher just across the state line.
Golden says he's not sure why this rise is happening, but he hopes to see a drop in prices in the near future. In last month's State of the State speech, Governor Ivey announced plans to 4-lane a 12-mile stretch of Highway 52 between Malvern and Hartford. Although the project's timeline has not been finalized, Geneva County's state delegation believes it will be sooner than later. Slocum Trading Post employees on Highway 52 look forward to the highway widening, but they hope the State Department of Transportation will put in enough turn lanes to avoid back-end collisions.
Turning lane would give you an avenue to turn into this business along with the ones on the road as well, without it causing such an issue with people getting hit.
The State Department of Transportation is conducting a study on the route. It hopes to use the existing alignment of the highway as much as possible. Governor Kay Ivey announced Wednesday that the state capitol's doors are back open to the public. The Alabama Capitol and the governor's mansion had been closed due to the pandemic. Now the Capitol is open for self-guided tours only, Monday through Friday from 8 until 4 in the afternoon. The governor's mansion is open Tuesdays and Thursdays by appointment. Appointments can be made by visiting tours@mansion.alabama.gov or by calling 334-834-3022. Additional information can be found on the governor's website. An enterprise is making giving back to the community an official day. Saturday, March 20th will be the Enterprise Day of Service. The idea is to encourage community members to come together and participate in projects meant to benefit the community. City leaders encourage all Enterprise residents to participate.
I just think it shows that how much the people in this community cares about our town and cares about the people that are in our town. Any way that we can help out, that's what we want to do.
Andrus adds that it doesn't take a lot to help people. It just takes a little goodwill and motivation. A bunch of Wiregrass young people brought home the big prize from the Alabama Youth Theater Experience Festival last week. The Wiregrass Drama Club won Best of Show and Best Lighting for their rendition of Seussical Jr. Memphis Mortimer won Best Actor, and several other students were picked as All-Stars. Continuing the live coverage we started this week on Wake Up Wiregrass, WDHN's Cody Giles was at the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce to look at this past year in our community through the lens of the pandemic. Here's what he had to find out.